All right, and we are live. Welcome to another edition of Premier Physical Therapy Friday Facebook webinars. I'm just going to check to see if I posted this video up right. So it'll just be a second. But today is Friday. It's beginning to feel a lot like Christmas. Yep, looks like I posted it to the right page. We were actually pretty cold here in Jacksonville for a couple days, so that was nice. Really felt like a real December. But yeah, for those of you who don't know me, I'm your host, Curtis Pachoka. I'm one of the physical therapists here at Premier Physical Therapy. Today's topic is post-exercise nutrition. Now, nutrition, not really big, not really taught much in physical therapy, but my undergrad, my bachelor's degree was in exercise science. And in exercise science, we have a lot of classes where we learn about what energy systems are used during certain exercises. And post exercise nutrition really plays right into that. So it's kind of this area between a nutritionist and an exercise scientist, kind of both of their scopes kind of combined for a little bit. But I am by no means a nutritionist, and I can't diagnose you certain supplements or certain amounts of how many carbs or how much fat you should eat a day. But I'm going to give you some baseline uh, things that can help anyone. So a little bit about our clinic. We're a small business, two privately owned clinics. One is in Jacksonville Beach near Beach Boulevard and Hodges, and the other one is in Ponte Vedra. We have subspecialties in orthopedics, jaw pain, facial pain, lymphedema, and running and golf programs. So a little bit of an intro. There's a book that was provided to us in physical therapy. They had a chapter about nutrition, and I borrowed this information from that chapter. So basically, decreasing pain and inflammation can help improve the speed of healing. And pathology occurs at the cellular level. So if we don't have an impact at that cellular level, then we probably won't make the gains that we need to in physical therapy. We can provide you the exercise, but nutrition, sleep habits, things like that also will impact how fast you recover. So, evidence of low grade systemic inflammation, that can be a problem, something you might not even feel. Of course, when you roll your ankle and you sprain it, you can feel pain, inflammation. But inflammation can also be kind of silently present in your body, and you might not even know it. So, they can measure that with the C reactive protein in the body. If they find this in the body, that means you might have inflammation without even knowing it. This can take place with sedentary lifestyle or chronic conditions. It can be almost hidden inflammation in your body. So it's important that we provide education to y'all, our patients, about flaxseed, fish oil, walnuts, chia seed, turmeric, blueberries. That can be natural anti-inflammatories with very little side effects. Of course, you can always check with your doctor or nutritionist if you are safe enough to consume these products, but also reading the food labels to see what the recommended daily values are of these products. So, high glycemic index diets also increase inflammation. So, here's the argument where carbs are bad, but it depends on what kind of carbs. You have your simple sugars versus your whole grains. So, a whole grain bread, for example, or oatmeal has a low glycemic index. So, it can give you energy for prolonged periods of time, which might be needed. We're going to talk about post exercise nutrition, but if you're thinking pre exercise nutrition, you want something that's going to burn for a long time. So that's where these whole grains will come into play to supply you energy for long periods. Maybe before a workday, before a workout, before traveling, before a walk. You want these low glycemic index whole grain carbohydrates. Um, Along with fiber and things like that. Versus the simple sugars are the things like juices, maybe some fruits that spike your sugar level up for a short period of time. So, section one in this book that I was telling you about talks about some diabetes, which is increased insulin, which talks about increasing, if you have increased insulin, it also increases your inflammation in your body. Um, it can lead to decreased energy levels where the cells are starved of glycogen. We talked about the high versus low glycemic index earlier. So, high glycemic index, all the excess that you don't need will be used as fats or get converted into fats. So, a lot of times after exercise, your body's looking to absorb glycogen to restore all the energy that was just used. So, at that time, it might be okay to have something that's high glycemic index, like a simple sugar, because it get absorbed in your body really quickly. But if you're not working out, then you might want to stay away from high glycemic index foods because of the very fast spike can lead to increased inflammation in the body, which is harder for us to treat arthritis and things like that if you have more inflammation in your body. And we already talked about the low glycemic index provides prolonged energy. So, how to decrease inflammation? Fruits and vegetables. I talked about how fruit maybe spike your your glycemic index. But fruit and veggies are generally really safe. It's mainly like a fruit juice that has a lot of sugars that can really spike your blood. Uh, you want to decrease the saturated and trans fats in your diet and replace them with omega 3s instead. Like I said, I'm not a nutritionist, so you'd have to ask them or a doctor on how much omega 3 is safe in your diet. It has been shown to decrease chondrocyte metabolism and increase your intake of B12, B6, and folic acid too. Section two talks about some allergies. You can be gluten intolerant, of course, you can be lactose intolerant, and even citrus intolerant. So you might need to run some blood tests to find that out. Vitamin D, very good for you. You can get it in sunlight. Uh, Anti-inflammatory salad. So this chapter gave an example of a good healthy meal throughout the day. So an anti-inflammatory salad you can eat probably at lunch. It includes, some veggies in your salad. You want avocado, some beans for fiber, pumpkin seeds for anti-inflammation, walnuts for it's a good fat. With a simple dressing with extra virgin olive oil and vinegar. For breakfast, a general rule of thumb healthy breakfast would be something like oatmeal or an omelet with scrambled eggs and veggies. Dinner, very simple types of protein like chicken, fish, and turkey, combined with some stir fried or raw veggies. I myself buy frozen packs of stir fried veggies and either steam them, put them in the microwave, or you can stir fry them too. So section three talked about some protein requirements. These can be a little different across the board, but generally a sedentary person, you want 1 gram of protein to 1 kilogram of body weights, and you want to consume that much protein throughout your day. But an athlete needs a lot more because they are damaging their body, damaging their muscles, and they need to repair that muscle damage with increased protein. So this goes into our next topic or an article that we want to review. And it is a review article. So the review article is a very high level of evidence because they review other articles. So this article was nutrition strategies for post-exercise recovery. So factors of post-exercise recovery are these three factors you want to consider. The glycogen synthesis, because muscle glycogen is the primary energy source used during high intensity exercises. If you're thinking low intensity exercises, you probably use more fats. But athletes, cyclists, runners, very high intensity exercises, you want to replenish your glycogen stores. Um, Muscle damage is the next factor we want to consider for post exercise recovery. This can lead to something called DOMS, delayed onset muscle soreness. A lot of our patients can get DOMS. Maybe the first time they do squats with us, their muscles are sore for a week. So it might have been doing the exercise too soon, or it might have been they had a failed post exercise recovery. Maybe they weren't eating enough protein after their workout, their physical therapy workout, and they didn't have the nutrients required to repair that muscle fast enough. So it led to soreness for a couple days, which will decrease your performance. If your legs are sore and dead almost, you're not going to be able to do squats the next day. You're not going to be able to walk well. So this can also affect muscle performance. Other factors with post-exercise recovery are timing. If you just did a big run, a high intensity exercise, within the first 30 minutes after a meal is when you need to replenish those glycogen stores. Um, so there's debate whether carb and protein combination is best for a post-exercise meal. And the results are a little bit mixed. Protein, of course, can help a little bit more with repairing muscle damage. But for replenishing the stores of energy, carbs seem to really help replenish those glycogen storage areas. The amount, this is very debatable depending on the person, the size of the person. There's a lot of factors. So I can't give you the exact numbers. These were based off high level athletes, like triathletes, cyclists. So they needed 1 to 1.5 grams per kilogram of their body weight per hour. And protein, the general rule of thumb they found was a 20 to 25 gram single recovery meal. This is based off high level athletes. So their meal they ate after their workout had 20 to 25 grams of protein. And then the frequency. You have up to 6 hours after exercise, high intensity exercise, that your glycogen stores, the synthesis to fill them up is accelerated. So to take advantage of that for high level athletes, they have to eat a carbohydrate meal every 2 hours for up to 6 hours after their workout. All right, so then back to our book. The next section talked about some degenerative joint disease, which we see a lot of in therapy. So a doctor might recommend you take NSAIDs for them, like glycosamine sulfate, some calcium, magnesium, vitamin D. If you've osteoporosis, they might recommend some calcium and magnesium in your diet along with vitamin D. Fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, myofascial pain syndrome, and NADH supplements can kind of affect the areas in the brain to help you deal with those conditions. Like I said, I can't give you doses. I can just bring this to you. If you are a patient of mine that had fibromyalgia, I would bring this up to you, but not necessarily tell you the doses. But that is it. That is the conclusion of this. I just want to leave everybody with this quote. The food you eat can either be the safest and most powerful form of medicine or the slowest form of poison. So this was by Anne Wigmore. Don't know her backgrounds, but I like this quote a lot. I'm going to check to see if there's any comments. I don't really see any comments going around. So that concludes the session today. It is Friday, so enjoy your weekends. Christina, thanks for checking out our video, Christina. She's one of our biggest supporters. But for everybody else, have a good weekend, and we will see you next week. We are out.